Today I'm going to tell you a story about a difficult decision. In the first part of the video, you'll hear the whole story. Then, in the second part, I'll provide explanation for 10 interesting words and phrases from the story, and review how they have actually been used in the writing. Hope you find it useful, and maybe learn something new from this video. Okay, now let's begin. Part 1. A difficult decision. Walking away from a stable job. It was a cold, grey Monday morning when I sat in my car outside the office, staring at the same glass doors I had walked through for the past 5 years. I was early as usual, but this time it wasn't because I was eager to start my day. No, I was sitting there because I was weighing the heaviest decision I had ever had to make. I could feel the weight of the resignation letter in my bag, burning like a leaden anchor. I hadn't even told anyone I'd written it. Not my colleagues, not my family, not even my best friend. I hadn't been able to say it out loud yet. After all, who in their right mind would give up a steady, well-paying job, especially in a company with decent benefits, a stable career trajectory, and the ever-tempting security of a regular paycheck? The truth was, from the outside, I had everything that should have made me happy. I had worked hard to get to where I was. A solid mid-level position in a company that most people would be thrilled to work for. My boss was fair, my co-workers were pleasant enough, and I had a respectable role that I knew how to perform with my eyes closed. But there was one small problem. I hated it. Maybe hate is too strong a word, but the truth is I had never felt a passion for my work. It was comfortable, predictable, and above all safe. I could have continued in that job for another 5 or 10 years, earning more and more promotions, ticking off milestones and moving up the corporate ladder. But deep down I knew it wasn't for me. The spark that had once driven me to work hard and stay late was long gone, replaced by a suffocating sense of dread every Sunday night, as I braced myself for the week ahead. The thought of doing this for the rest of my life terrified me more than anything else. A few months ago, I had stumbled onto something that woke me up. I had taken a weekend photography course, something I had always been curious about, but never had time for. What started as a fun distraction quickly became an obsession. By the end of that course, I was taking my camera everywhere, snapping photos of everything. People on the street, buildings, nature, even mundane objects like coffee cups. Suddenly the world looked different through my lens, and for the first time in years I felt alive again. I had found something I actually loved doing. That love for photography grew stronger every day, so much so that I started to dream about doing it professionally. I started following photographers on social media, reading up on freelancing, and imagining a life where I could do something creative, something meaningful every day. But the fantasy always came crashing down when I thought about the reality of leaving my job. Could I really walk away from stability? Could I risk stepping into the unknown, where I might fail miserably? This is what led me to that cold Monday morning, parked outside the office with my resignation letter tucked away in my bag. I hadn't made the final decision yet. Part of me still clung to the security of what I knew, the routine that kept me grounded. But another part of me, the part that dreamed of something bigger, was telling me it was time to take a leap. I got out of the car, took a deep breath and walked toward the office. My steps felt heavy, my mind swirling with conflicting thoughts. I had played this moment over in my head 1,000 times, walking into my boss's office, handing him the letter and explaining why I had to leave. But even as I imagined it, I could hear the voice of doubt in the back of my mind. Are you crazy? What if this doesn't work out? What if you regret it? That voice had kept me frozen for weeks. I had spent countless sleepless nights wrestling with the same questions. Was it better to stay in a job I didn't love just because it was safe? Or should I take a risk, follow my passion, and risk everything? The elevator doors slid open, and I found myself in the familiar lobby of the office. My heart pounded in my chest as I walked toward my desk. I sat down, logged into my computer, and went through the motions of checking emails and organizing tasks for the day. Everything was routine, everything was comfortable, but that sense of dread I had been carrying for months lingered, wrapping itself around me like a heavy blanket. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a notification from Instagram. A photographer I admired had posted a new photo. I clicked on it without thinking. It was a breathtaking shot of a sunrise over a misty mountain range, the kind of image that made you stop and appreciate the beauty of the world. A caption followed, "Chasing your dreams isn't easy, but nothing worth having ever is." It felt like a sign. My heart skipped a beat, and before I could second-guess myself, I grabbed the resignation letter from my bag. I stood up, the letter feeling lighter now, like it was no longer a burden. It was my decision, my choice. I walked toward my boss's office, my legs shaky but determined. This was it. I knocked, and when he called me in, I felt the rush of adrenaline that comes with knowing you're about to change your life. "I need to talk to you," I said, my voice steady even though my heart was racing. He looked up from his desk, surprised but patient. I handed him the letter. "I'm resigning. It's time for me to pursue something I'm truly passionate about." For a moment, I expected him to try to convince me to stay, to offer me a raise or remind me of how good my position was. But instead he looked at me with understanding, and after a pause he simply nodded. "You've got to follow what makes you happy," he said quietly. "I respect that." And just like that, the weight lifted. The doubt that had been gnawing at me faded away, replaced by a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in years. Walking out of the office for the last time, I felt a rush of excitement and fear all at once. I had no idea what the future held. I didn't know if I would succeed as a photographer, or if this new path would be as fulfilling as I hoped. But what I did know was that I had made a choice my choice, and that, more than anything, made me feel alive. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time I was ready to embrace it. Part 2. Now let's look at 10 interesting words and phrases and how they are used in the story. Number 1. Weighing. To carefully consider or think about something. Example: I was weighing the heaviest decision I had ever had to make. Number 2. Trajectory. The path or direction something takes over time. Example: a stable career trajectory and the ever-tempting security of a regular paycheck. Number 3. Suffocating. Something that makes you feel trapped or overwhelmed. Example: replaced by a suffocating sense of dread every Sunday night. Number 4. Obsession. A state in which someone thinks about something constantly or intensely. Example: what started as a fun distraction quickly became an obsession. Number 5. Freelancing. Working for oneself, often on a per-job basis rather than being employed by a company. Example: reading up on freelancing and imagining a life where I could do something creative. Number 6. Second guess. To doubt or question a decision after it has been made. Example: Before I could second-guess myself, I grabbed the resignation letter from my bag. Number 7. Gnawing. Persistently worrying or causing distress. Example, the doubt that had been gnawing at me faded away. Number 8. Take a leap. To take a risk or make a bold decision. Example, the part that dreamed of something bigger was telling me it was time to take a leap. Number 9. Wrestling with, struggling or dealing with a difficult problem or decision. Example, I had spent countless sleepless nights wrestling with the same questions. Number 10. Follow my passion. To pursue something you deeply care about or love. Example, should I take a risk, follow my passion, and risk everything? Great work today. Well done. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.